haven't told this story to many people. What I'm going to tell you is very vulnerable and personal, but I just felt like God was telling me that I needed to share this because it might help. Hello everybody. Whoa, that voice was very serious. Hello everyone, my name is Kian. If you haven't been to my channel before, welcome. I am actually really excited that this will be the first video you ever see of me because it's probably the most meaningful video that I will ever post. It's probably the scariest video that I'm ever going to post, and it's probably the most vulnerable video that I will ever post. I actually filmed this video last week and I was a wreck because this is a very hard story to share, but I wanted to film it again because last night I went to a Bible study and I just got some encouragement from a lot of powerful and supportive women, and I really wanted to re-record it in a way that was much more empowering, and I wanted to share more of what I got out of this experience in my life and what I learned. So here I am recording it again. I don't know if I'll be as emotional as last time. I'm sure I will because I haven't told this story to many people, but I'm gonna do the best I can to get through it. I got tissues on deck, so I just feel a lot more confident around telling it, and I just feel like it's so right. And I guess I should tell you what I'm doing. I haven't even said that. So I'm going to be sharing my testimony today, basically what brought me to God and what started my journey into becoming a Christian. I know God has put on my heart lately that I really need to share this, and that was really scary. That was a very scary call because what I'm going to tell you is very vulnerable and personal, but I just felt like God was telling me that I needed to share this because it might help other women or men or just help people. And I would always turn on the song Reckless Love, which I was just listening to. I would just bawl my eyes out every time I listened to it, and every time I just felt this conviction from God, like, you need to share your story. So here I am sharing it. I was actually raised in the church as a Christian, so I went to church for like the first 14 years of my life. I was never super involved or passionate about it. I kind of would just go. Like my favorite thing was like going to church camp because I had a crush on a boy. Like that's kind of what I made church camp about. And when I think it was about in middle school, when my mom actually decided to stop going to church, and she just felt very judged by people at church, which I believe was her reasoning for not wanting to go anymore. And since my mom didn't go, kind of all of us kids decided not to go either. So I have 4 siblings, and we all stopped going to church once my mom did. My mom stopped going, and so my dad was actually going to church for the last 7 years alone, which, Dad, if you're watching this, I love you so much. And thinking about that sometimes does make me cry, because I mean, just to like go to church alone for 7 years, like not knowing if any of your family was gonna start coming, like I look up to you a lot for doing that. This isn't even the hard part of the story. Anyways, so my dad kept chugging along, and meanwhile I went to college. I went throughout whole high school not going to church. I went to college not going to church, And it wasn't to, I'm 24 now, so it wasn't until last year that I actually started going to church around this time when I was 23. And I just want to tell you a little bit about what got me to just like commit my life to God. And so about a year ago, where I was at in life was I was actually really happy. I was like at like one of the best places in my life. I was single for like a year or so, or like 7 or 8 months, and I was just really happy being alone. And I just loved, like, I felt like I loved myself, and I was really into personal development, and I just felt like it was a really good time in my life. But at the same time, I did feel like there was just something missing, and I had no idea what it was, but I just didn't feel complete, if that makes sense. And that was when my friend actually asked me if I wanted to go to church, and she hadn't been really going to church either. She's like, oh, me and like my roommate just want to like try it out. So I said yeah, and I went to church with her, and I like did my best to sing along to the songs and like listen to the message, but it was a very traditional church, and I just like did not feel like my heartstrings or anything was like moving me towards it, although I knew I wanted to. So another friend recommended a different church that was a little bit more like modern, like the music was very like, there was like a band, and she's like, hey, I think you'll really like this. I've heard good things, and I feel like you would really like this church. So I decided to go to that church, which is called Impact Church in North Scottsdale, Arizona. So I went there, and I did really like it. I think I actually went maybe alone, or maybe I went with my friend, but I went there and I really liked it. And then I went on winter break back to Chicago, and kind of just like forgot about it. And I met up with my friend in the city, and we were just like catching up because we hadn't seen each other in a year. And she kind of like mentioned how she like was struggling with a lot of things, and like she like brought up church, and I was like, we should go. And she's like, oh my gosh, there's one tonight at 6 p.m. At City Church. Like, I heard it's like really cool, really young, like awesome music, like we should go. We were literally in the middle of drinking like a pitcher of sangria when we decided like, oh yeah, let's go to church. So we went to church, and it was awesome. Like the music was awesome. I felt like I was at like a concert. And there's like just all these people our age. And it was actually a pastor named Carl Lentz who was guest speaking at this church in Chicago. And his message was really amazing. I can't really remember what it was about, but I really liked him.
I told you that growth sometimes it is ugly and it hurts and it's not easy. And if you want your church to grow, great, but you might lose your seat. If you want the lost to come home, great, but you might have to love somebody you wouldn't even like outside the kingdom of God.
And I just had never known church to be so like, I guess like intriguing and like entertaining and just like it was just like I enjoyed it. And I never knew church to be something like that I enjoyed going to when I was younger. I remember like not even wanting to stand up when they would sing the songs. So and it was actually interesting because he said like, if anyone here wants to give their life to God today, like please stand up. And my friend was like, stand up. And I knew I just like didn't feel it in my heart, but I just stood up. And it was like crazy because like everybody there would like look at us and clap, but I just like didn't feel it in my heart. But I just like stood up because my friend told me to. And anyway, so Carl actually has written a book which I love and highly recommend, but my friend actually bought me a copy because he's there signing them, and she bought me a copy. And I was like, I realized he was like the main pastor at Hillsong in New York, which I thought was really awesome. So meanwhile, I'm like flying back to Arizona, and in a magazine I see like Justin Bieber, like pastor Carl Lentz, and I'm like, wait, I just saw him. And I was like, that's so weird, like that's so crazy. So then later that week I was watching a video, and it said something about Hillsong again, and I was like, wow, I feel like God's just like pointing me to Hillsong. Like I need to go to Hillsong. Like something special is gonna happen at Hillsong. I need to go there. So I looked it up, and there was Hillsong locations in Phoenix. So I went to Hillsong, And it was, I mean, awesome, but they projected like a video recording of the like message from earlier that day at a different location, so there was no one in person like talking. And I guess I just like left feeling very disappointed because I was like thinking there was going to be this like life-changing thing that happened. So I kind of just left feeling like disappointed. But fast forward a couple weeks, I was actually going to go back to Impact Church, the original, like the second church I went to. And this is kind of like where we get into the more personal side of my testimony. And like, this is very hard to share because not many people know this. Not even my siblings know this. Only my parents know, and a handful of friends. So I'm really like letting the world in on like probably something I was very shameful, like the most shameful thing of my life. But I know that this might help somebody out there, and even if it just helps one person, then I am going for it. I don't care if I get ridiculed. I don't care if you guys leave nasty comments. I don't care if you judge me, because if I can just help one person and if they find God, then that's all that matters. So we'll rewind actually a couple, like 2 years prior to this, so 3 years ago. So I had never heard of this before I moved to Arizona, but like once I came to Arizona, like it was very much more about like what you look like. It was a lot more like there was like a lot of rich, like more upper class people here, and like everyone driving nice cars, and these girls like going and traveling the world, and us not knowing how it was they were doing it, but it just was very like glamorous. And I had heard of like that some of these girls had sugar daddies. And so me and my friend like looked into it for fun. We were just like, oh, we should like sign up for this website and just like see what it's like and see what's going on, because I don't know, as like a 21-year-old with like credit card debt and like wanting to go shopping, like that seems like the life. Like, oh, someone's gonna pay for me to just like hang out with them, go on dates with them, and like I get to have like Louis Vuitton bags and like travel the world. Like it sounded at the time like a sweet deal. Well, that's obviously not the case. But so I kind of like looked more into it and like signed up, and like it got to a point where like I had met up. I don't think I want to go into all the details of everything, but basically there was a point where like I feel like I was like selling my soul. Like it honestly, like I just put myself in a bad situation where I was doing things for money that were just like taking parts of my soul away, and my like self-worth. Like, and at the time I was like, I felt like I was a confident person, but clearly like my worth was like, I was willing to compromise my self-worth for money at this point. And it was like a very brief like thing that I kind of just like tried and experimented with. And I honestly feel like I walked out of one of the situation just numb. And I just knew like I never wanted to do that again. But at the same time I just felt numb. Like I didn't feel anything, and I just was like laughing about it, telling my friends what happened. But looking back, I know I was just like suppressing a lot of things that I later had to deal with. But yeah, I just like numb myself, and like we do that a lot in society. We just like brush things off. Wow, I feel like I'm saying like a lot. I'm sorry. But we sweep things under the rug, and we make things seem like it's no big deal. Because, I mean, honestly, like we have Tinder now, like Hinge or whatever the new dating apps is, and like people are going on there having one night stands all the time, and you know, maybe they're not getting paid for it, but we are like giving ourselves away to people all the time and not batting an eye and acting like sex doesn't mean anything. And that's exactly where I was at a couple years ago. Like literally I told myself that sex didn't mean anything, clearly. But yeah, I'm not gonna go into all the details about it, but I think from what I've said, you can kind of gauge the situation. Anyways, so fast forward to me getting back from Chicago. I had like a boyfriend in between this, and like I hadn't gone on the website at all or like done anything at all for like a year. And for like randomly, this guy had texted me who I had like originally talked to from the website. He texted me and like asked if I wanted to like meet up with him and just like grab drinks and like just chat and see if we get along. So I agreed, and we like set plans for Saturday night. We had a time, we had a place, and that was that. So Saturday rolls around and I haven't heard anything from him all day, and I just felt like he wasn't gonna like show up. I just felt like he wasn't gonna show up, and I got ready, and then I just sat in bed in my pajamas. It was like 30 minutes, then 15 minutes before we were supposed to meet up, and then like he just never said anything. And at that moment I was like, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. Like I deleted my profile, I deleted and blocked anyone, like any of the few guys that I had their numbers from that site. Like I just like was like, I am never doing this again. And so that was a Saturday night, and then the next morning I went to Impact Church, and I'm sitting in church alone. The preacher is talking about a prostitute in the Bible, and I mean, I went to church for 14 years and I had never ever heard of a preacher like talking about a prostitute ever during church, like ever. And I was just like, holy crap. And he was just saying, he's telling a story about her. I believe her name started with an R. I should actually have done a little more research before I made this. But she actually like helped Jesus like by hiding him or hiding somebody else in the Bible, when like other people wouldn't help. And he was just saying how like even people who make mistakes can like be God's greatest soldiers. And he was just like praising this woman who he called like one of God's greatest like soldiers and followers, and she was like a prostitute. I mean, at this point, maybe that's something you would call me. To me, I don't feel like it was like that's true of me. Like I don't believe that. I wasn't doing it for a living or anything, or more than like 1 or 2 times. You know, I just like related to that story, and he even made a joke like, oh, if there's any like prostitutes in the building, like raise your hand, because he would always do like raise your hand stuff or like tell your neighbor stuff like as a joke. And everyone was laughing, and I was just sitting there like, I mean, me. Like, me. And I'm sure he had no idea, but like, I just felt like I was there to hear this. Like, God put me there to hear this message, because I had never heard, and still haven't, after being a Christian for a year, going to church like every week. I've never heard anyone talk about it ever again besides like these services. And like moving on in the story, he just like, or in the sermon, he was just saying how like God wipes all slates clean, and he will make you pure as snow. And like the bloodiest, the dirtiest, like it doesn't matter. Like when you give your life to God, he will just wipe it all clean and make everything new. And I just like, obviously was bawling my eyes out. I was just like crying in my seat, like as he's praying. I was just crying, and I was just like, wow, like just wow. So I went back, and I'm pretty sure the next 2 services he kept bringing up the story in the Bible about the prostitute, and he like just like every time, like I just felt like God was talking right to me. And maybe he was talking to other people in the room, but like I just related to that story so much. And I remember like after each service he would have us all bow our heads, and like it's like, if you want to give your life to God today, like raise your hand. And I just like knew I didn't feel ready yet, but I'm pretty sure by like the third or fourth service is like when I raised my hand, and like I feel like that was like the first step I took. Well, so the hard part's over, so that's basically what happened, and I feel like I can sit here and tell this so much calmer, and like because I'm so at peace with it, and I know I'm forgiven of what I've done, and I know that doesn't define who I am now. Even though I don't know you guys, like I hope you can see that that's not the person I am now. And even if it is, like there's nothing wrong with it, and we should all love each other anyways, like because people get like are lost. Like I was clearly lost when I was doing that, like when I was so desperate for money that I would like give myself away, and I was like willing to do that. Like I was clearly lost, and I had never been somebody like that. Like I never like slept around. I like never like talked to a lot of guys. I was always in long-term relationships, so it was just like very not true to myself. But yes, so that was a year ago when all of this happened, and since then like so much has changed. Like I feel like I've completely like given my life to God. Like I don't even have sex anymore, and I would like to save that till marriage. I go to Bible study like once to twice a week. I go to church every week. I'm like surrounded by a great, amazing group of Christian girls. Shout out Wednesday night Bible studies. Like you are a big part of why this video is gonna be public, and I just want to thank you guys all because I love you so much. And I'm gonna cry again, but thanks. Well, before this video I prayed, and I just like really felt like what this video needs to be about is to tell you guys that it doesn't matter what you've done. It doesn't matter where you're at, what you're struggling with. God forgives you, and he will literally renew your life and save you. And I feel like prior to this video, maybe it didn't make a lot of sense to people. Maybe it didn't make any sense like to people I grew up with. Like, why is she going to church all of a sudden? Why is she posting about God so much? And you know, sometimes it doesn't make sense until he saves you from something, like from the deepest like mistakes of your life. And it's just like crazy that I can share this right now and just know that that was a different person, and I am completely new, and I'm completely forgiven for everything. And I know like what I have done does not define me, and whoever I'm going to marry will not care, because they will probably or they will be a Christian too, and they will forgive me just like God asks us to do to everybody. And like since then my self-worth has like just skyrocketed, and I like demand like the highest quality when it comes to relationships and treatment. Like I just like will not stand for anything less than I deserve. And I know just because I've done bad things doesn't mean I don't deserve something like beautiful and loving and amazing. And I feel like through this past year, that's just what God has like put on me, and like he's just like literally like risen me. And just like the Bible verses, like he makes all things new. And like I love the song lyrics, like you will have your bride free of all her sins. Like that's what God has done. He's literally just washed away all my imperfections, like all my mistakes, and just made me into somebody new. And I'm just so happy with where I'm going. But anyways, that's like a lot about me, and like I wanted to share this because I just, like, a woman was praying for me last Sunday or 2 Sundays ago, and she just like was prophesying about how my story might help people and encourage people, and like that's why I'm doing this, because I just want to let you know that like wherever you are, whatever you've done, like how bad it is, how sad you are, how depressed you are, like how hopeless life feels right now, like in a year from now, like it could be completely transformed. In a month from now, it could be completely transformed, and that is the power of God. It is. It so is. So I just want to encourage you guys and just be vulnerable, because not a lot of people are. I know, like, me being vulnerable and like sharing something and like showing people like I'm not perfect, and I'm definitely not an angel, and I definitely have sinned before and will continue to sin probably every day of my life. But I just want to let everybody know that like God loves you, and I love you, and there's so many people out there who love you, and whatever you're going through, like I'm here for you, like God is there for you, people are there for you. You just have to seek the right people, and you have to seek God. And yes, and honestly, like even if you don't believe in God, like I love you still. And even if like the story is about God, like you can still take so much from it, like in your own way. And I'm like not judging you for that at all. Like I support everybody, and I just love everybody, and like I would not be able to say that unless it was for God, because he has transformed my heart within myself, because a few years ago. But anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. It is so personal to me, and it means so much to me. And yeah, I just want to like encourage anybody I can. And I just hope that did this for somebody, like one person. I just hope it helped you, or gave you some kind of courage or strength, or just anything. But if you watch this video, please leave a comment below and just let me know what you think, or let me know part of your story, or reach out to me on Instagram. I'll leave links below or on the screen somewhere. Please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and please subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more.
Coming after me. No, 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 no. There's no wall you